And last but not least, I had my favorite Brett beer that came out of that kind of batch. And I put a gallon of it on a pound of blackberries. And that one turned out pretty cool as well. Cheers. So I'm not purposely good at cliffhangers. YouTube kind of decided that one for me, or something did. So I had shot my entire video last night, probably way too long. But I got I uploaded it using the YouTube capture little feature on my phone, and got the email saying it was online. So I went and deleted the video off my phone because it was really long. And then jumped onto YouTube right after that. My video was quite trimmed. So this is a redo of part 2. Not a redo of part 2. This is part 2 because there has to be a part 2. I'm going to jump in and try to recreate a little bit of what I talked about last night. I'm going to try to make it short though. So you just heard the myriad of all the sours, wild stuff that I got going on that I'm loving, really proud of. You've heard me talk a bunch about IPAs I've been doing lately. This is one of the latest ones. Gracious, you can see the crazy lacing on this thing. It's been in the keg for about 4 days. And I found a kind of a good system to not shake it, but still get some good carbonation in there pretty quickly. But still, up until a second ago when I started drinking it, it had a nice moosey head to it. It's really nice. This double IPA, brand new. It was a 1080 original gravity, got down to about 1019. So I think that made it about 8.5, maybe a little bit over percent alcohol. So pretty solid. Let's see. Oak aging. You've heard a little bit talk here and there about the oak projects I've got going on. I went in with a couple of buddies, and you saw this one, somewhat of this one, so I'm not going to belabor the point on the quad. A 15-gallon wheat whiskey barrel that we just pulled a Belgian quad out of. We're about to brew up an imperial stout to put in there next. So that one's awesome. I've got a little 6-gallon red wine barrel that a guy locally had been using to do homemade wine, a homemade red wine. And so he brought it to our homebrew store saying he wasn't going to use it anymore. So I got a killer deal on a little 6-gallon red wine Hungarian oak barrel. And that's what I used to put in that Belgian Dark Strong. That really kind of, it's higher in alcohol than a double is, but it tastes more, the mouth feels more like a double. So I'm kind of calling it a red wine barrel-aged double. But love that one. I had put that one on tap. I kegged it. I had put it on tap and drank about half of it and was worried about how quickly it was going because I like it so much. So I actually bottled, using a beer gun, bottled off the second half of that batch. So I just put all that in bottles to kind of slow the roll, make some room in my kegerator for this actually. And keep some bottles for safekeeping. So that thing is, I've still got about a case of that left. Let's see what else I got. Oh, and after I pulled that Belgian Dark Strong out, the only thing left to talk about in the sour category, I didn't want to put in another clean beer into that 6-gallon barrel. So I did up a sour brown base and turned it sour. So I've got an Ode Brewing going in that now. I believe it's been in there for a month and a half, 2 months, something like that. So that's pretty cool. Hoping that goes a cool direction. Let's see. I've got in the midst there a couple other random IPA. I think I did kind of a test IPA that I was drinking on a while back. We were talking I did a 1 gallon simple mead. I did a 1 gallon really simple cider. I did this IPA for a reason I'll get to here in a second. And then I finally did that, what I'm calling the tiny, is actually that big IPA. I don't know if you call this thing a triple IPA or really because of how big it is, how malty it is. If you actually might more call it a really hoppy American barley wine. But I've got that thing fermenting. I'm going to be dry hopping it in the next couple days. I'm on kind of a tight timeline, but that thing came out original gravity at 11:05, so it's pretty darn big. I'm hoping to get it to dry down to about maybe 10:21, 10:22, something like that. Put me right at 11% alcohol. But the preliminary tastes are pretty awesome. So that's what's been going on in my brewing world lately. Not going to belabor that point much longer. I'm kind of killing it. Killing it as in beating a dead horse. A couple other things going on though. I got my wife to let me move the kegerator inside from the brew shed. The brew shed is not really insulated. You can see this kind of really ancient window unit that I can sometimes use at points during the summer to keep it cooler in here, but there's no heat. So my lines in my kegerator were actually freezing. And I have to come out here and thaw them. And one, it was a pain in the butt. Two, I was worried that they were going to burst. I was going to lose beer and CO2 and huge mess. So she agreed to let me move the kegerator inside, and it's freaking awesome. I love it. I'm jealous of you guys that get your dispensing apparatuses either in your garage right attached to your house or inside, because it is awesome not having to walk out to the shed, although I love the shed. And then next week, I'm going to hold off till I get my last couple pieces between Christmas this last Christmas, and then a couple other things. Recently, I bought some new brew gadgets, and so that'll be fun to kind of show you some of those things that I've purchased recently. I hadn't made many upgrades to my system in quite a while, but I'll introduce that to you next week, so that's pretty cool. Competitions is what I've been saying I was going to get to for a while. I got to last night, and then it got deleted. Competitions. What do I think about them? Are they, should you do competitions? Should you not? Here's my philosophy on competitions. If you go into it from a learning perspective in general, it's nice to win if you win. And it's cool to shoot to win. I think you should shoot to win. But I think if you go into it in the mindset of learning and making yourself a better brewer, that's where competitions are good. I stand firm to, you can be a really amazing, incredible brewer that makes awesome beer and not do well in a competition. Competitions are for brewing to specific styles. And if your beers don't fit into specific styles, it doesn't matter how good they're going to be, they're not going to do well. You can also get subpar brewers that are good at hitting one target and can do well in competitions, and there's nothing really wrong with that either. But here's what I like about entering competitions. But this coming from a place of a guy who's only entered one in my entire brewing journey, is that the feedback is really what you should be going for. It should be a way mostly to get feedback on process and process improvements. Whether or not your processes are clean, you're making good, clean, targeted beer. And I think that's really more what it's all about. the one competition I've ever entered was last year around this time. It's called the Peach State Brew Off. Last year was the 22nd edition of the Peach State Brew Off. It's put on by Covert Hops, a homebrew club here in Atlanta. It's the largest homebrew competition in the Southeast. So it's relatively large. It's not giant. I think last year was 500 entries. So it's reasonably sized. I was incredibly fortunate with what I put in the competition to get an amazing panel of judges for the ones that I entered. And I got such awesome, constructive feedback that I was blown away. And it actually really, really has helped me in the last year to kind of dial in some of the stuff that I was doing. So that's what I think about competitions. Are they useful? Absolutely. It's fun. Sometimes it's fun to compete and give it a shot. But I think more than anything, it can very well help the technical skills of your brewing. Doesn't necessarily mean that if you score really well in a competition that you're this incredible brewer. But, I mean, it can mean that, but not necessarily. But more, it's a learning experience and fun at the same time. So that's what I think about competitions going into this competition season. That being said, last year, like I said, was the first competition that I entered. Went into it looking for feedback. I entered in 3 beers into sometimes they combine subcategories, the BJCP subcategories. So I put 3 sours in last year that all got combined in the same sour beer category. I did a straight unblended lambic. I did a framboise, which is a lambic style with raspberries. And then a Berliner Weiss. And then I also put in a Brett Saison that I was a giant fan of. So here's an instance of what I was talking about a second ago. That Brett beer is one of my favorite beers I've ever made. Incredibly Brett forward. Excuse me. And just utterly delicious. But here's the deal. It didn't fit in the style category that I had put it in. The 2008 had a very broad Belgian specialty. I put it in as a Belgian, a Brett Saison, and the Brett overtook it. There was not enough underlying Saison for them to be able to call it that. And so I got dinged for it, and it scored terribly. It did not score well. But it's a fantastic beer. On the other hand, I think in some capacity I caught lightning in a bottle. I'd like to think it's because I'm a good brewer, but I'm not that I'm not that proud. The 3 sour beers that I put in the sour category actually did pretty darn well. I won first, second, and honorable mention in the sour beer flight with those 3 beers. The lambic won first, the framboise got second, and then the Berliner got honorable mention. That same Berliner was the basis for the one that I've done this year that you've been seeing me drinking on. So yeah, very proud to show off the couple medals I got last year. Again, that's the gold for the straight unblended lambic, the silver for the framboise. And I was freaking out that I won these. So it's pretty freaking awesome. But then I got some whispers going around, people coming, telling me to stick around the competition. So what they do with Peach State is after the preliminary rounds of the strict scoring guidelines, all the winners of all the flights go into a best of show round, and then in best of show, it's purely best beer at that point. There's no more like strict scoring guidelines. They go through, pick out what they believe is the best beer in the competition from the winners of the categories. And crazily, no, I didn't win. I was close, but I ended up with second place, best of show, with the unblended straight lambic, and incredibly surprised, freaking pumped that it worked out that way. But yeah, that's what I got to show from last year. number 2 out of 500 beers in the Southeast. So pretty darn cool. I got some really great brewers coming up to me telling me that they had just been to Belgium, and that and the lambic rivaled anything that they had just had in Belgium, which just blew my mind. I knew it was good. I loved it, but again, I'm not going to be out there singing its praises quite like that. Anyway, freaking awesome. All that to say, I've seen a couple guys talking about competitions, especially the American Home Brewers competition. Gosh, I think I may have just botched that. Anyway, no, I'm not entering that. I haven't gone as far as trying to enter in something that big. NHC, right? National Home Brewers Competition. But I think Dean's List, if you haven't gone out there and watched the Dean's List videos, and Josh, man, I'm not gonna try and butcher your last name. I apologize. Talking about entering the NHC, freaking awesome. Good luck. I think Dean's List was putting in a Helles, a Munich Helles, and a couple other things. Best of luck to you guys. I can't wait to hear how it goes. All I'm doing this year, I think, is re-entering into the Peach State. It's gonna be fun. I've got no expectations this year. I going in with a having fun, getting feedback. I'm not too confident in the brews that I've put in there. The Berliner Weiss I really like, and I actually think of anything that's the one that might possibly do well. I also entered in the Black and Red Currant beer, which I think is fantastic, but it didn't quite carbonate as much as I wanted it to. So I don't know. It's going to get knocked for low carbonation, I believe. Then I put in the apricot style lambic into the fruit lambic category, which again is a great beer. It's pretty cool in the new 2015 guidelines. You're supposed to specify sweetness level and carbonation level on the fruit lambics, so that might work to my advantage a little bit, because the apricot lambic is somewhat undercarbonated. But at least I was able to specify that and let them know beforehand that I wasn't going for a highly carbonated beer. And then finally I put in that red wine oak barrel-aged double. I put it as a double, as the base style. Because when you're going into a competition, it has nothing to do with what you set out to brew. It's what it ended up tasting like. Again, I think that beer is phenomenal. I had to put it in the wood-aged specialty beer category, I think it's called, which includes the same category as all your bourbon barrel-aged stouts and, rum barrel-aged this, all the big, the ones that everybody loves and talks about nowadays. I'm worried it's going to get lost in that shuffle. And it's in a category where not just the oak flavor, but the alcohol, either the spirit or the wine or something that was in the barrel previous, needs to shine through, at least somewhat. And in that double, it's there. The red wine character is there, but it's not super prominent. So it's one of those situations where you almost kind of need them to let it warm up a bit, because it starts to shine through when it gets a little bit warmer. So I'm worried that it's not going to have quite enough red wine character. It may get a couple of points knocked off for that. All that to say, I've got 4 beers going in this year. No real expectations. I'll report back on the results. That competition's in 2 weeks. On the 27th is the results. And so I'll report back on that. But yeah, there's another competition. It's about 250 entries, called Swanee Beer Fest, here in about a month. I was thinking about entering that. I'm not sure if I will or not. I'd hustled to try to get this double IPA ready for that competition. But luck would have it that it's a good beer. This is actually my first real pour off of it. but it's not. This is not the beer that I had aimed to enter, that I've done several times in the past. So I hate it. But I'm not going to enter it. I'm not going to enter this into that competition because it's not. This is not my beer. I'm not. I'll have to go back and kind of look. Again, it's good, but this is not the. This is not the New England style IPA that I've hit the last 3 or 4 times in a row, which is disappointing. But I may end up entering in that Berliner Weiss and maybe even that whiskey barrel aged quad into that. So we'll see. We'll see, guys. But anyway, that's my take on competitions. That's a wrap up of all the stuff I have brewing going right now. It's been kind of a whirlwind in the last probably month and a half with brewing stuff. It's kind of started to slow down a bit, so hopefully I'll be able to coast at least a little bit more than I have been. Not so helter-skelter. What else? The only good thing about being able to do this today is I was able to watch some of your videos last night or today before I re-recorded this. Elder P, you're a crazy man. In a great way. The ski mask, the malt liquor, the voice disguised, dude, peanut butter and cheese. What in the world? That's just that's disgusting. It sounds terrible, but again, you saw me with the chilada. I'm all under peer pressure. Maybe peanut butter and cheese is a thing. I don't know. Anyway, guys, athletics fan Jeremy, shout out to this guy. I think he's been following me for my last couple of videos. He just put up his first Homebrew Wednesday a couple days ago. I watched it. He sit there and did pretty much exactly what I said I was going to do, and that was going to be his one and only Homebrew Wednesday. Go hit up athletics fan Jeremy. Go watch his video. He looks like a super solid guy. Looks like he knows what he's talking about with his IPAs and what he's brewing. Looks like he's putting out quality stuff. Go watch his video. Hit up his comments and tell him you're not getting off that easy. He's got to jump in and he's got to get on this bandwagon with the Homebrew Wednesdays. So go bug him enough to where he keeps doing videos. Cheers, athletics fan Jeremy. Also found out there's a guy on the BrewTube that lives probably 20 minutes away from me. It's a small world. So hopefully, oh gosh, and now I've blanked on his name. He'll hit me up below in the comments. But he's a Georgia Bulldogs fan. I can tell from his profile picture, and I don't know if I can handle that. I'll go into more of that in detail when I do my backstory. You'll see all my Georgia Tech gear. That might be contentious. Anyway, I'm joking, but I'm not joking. This is the South. This is college football in the South. It's serious business. Anyway, guys, y'all have a great night. Sorry that this ended up being 23 minutes after my 9-minute video earlier. Hopefully this was entertaining enough. And if nothing else, it's got me caught up to where now I don't have to do any more back brewing stuff. I can just get on current stuff that's happening week to week. I appreciate you guys watching. If you made it all the way to the end, you deserve a round of applause, because this is not the most exciting setting and I'm not the most exciting person. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching, subscribing. Hit me up with some comments, likes, subscribes, shout, whatever. I'm not in this to be famous. This is fun. Guys, y'all have a great rest of the week. It's Thursday. It is almost Friday. I'm getting ready for the Barrage of F It Friday videos. Can't wait to see them, fellas. Y'all have a great rest of your week. Good weekend ahead. I'll catch you soon. This is not on Sundays brewing. And I'll get to that story later as well. Talk to you later, fellas. Cheers!